My next guest, he is a personality. He has his own show, which is called the Max Van Auken Podcast. Please welcome on his show, Max Van Auken himself. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing fantastic. I really appreciate you letting me come on your podcast and pick your brain on a couple stuff as well. So I'm doing fantastic. Every day's a great day. So any chance you could just sit and record and talk sports is my favorite thing to do.
Awesome, man. Now you're from Orlando, am I correct?
Well, Daytona Beach technically, but yeah,
Okay.
Orlando's about an hour away. So when I cover the Magic games, it's about an hour depending on traffic. But yep, definitely that Orlando area.
How's the weather over there?
Compared to other people, I'm sure it's actually not really nice. But right now we have a storm coming in, so it's just been a lot of rain. Florida's bipolar, so
Yeah.
depending on the day, one day it's really sunny. And you're like, man, this is why I like being here. Other days it's like it can't stop raining. So it just kind of depends on what side of the bed Florida wakes up on. But like I said, compared to other states along the country, I know temperatures have dropped. Some people get a lot of snow. The coldest it's getting here right now is like low 60s.
Oh man, that's a dream. I mean, even in Texas, it's about 40 something, man. Look,
Right.
I lived in Cleveland for a bit, so I know a little bit about the cold, man. But dude, I love Texas for its weather. I really hate anything below 50.
I want to explore Texas. So my family's from New York, but I really do want to explore Texas a little bit. I only went there one time, and that was through the airport when I was traveling to and from Los Angeles. And that was the only time I've been in Texas.
You gotta come and get a Whataburger.
Really? We do have Whataburger. The closest one for me is Jacksonville, and that's like 2 hours away.
Oh, they have that over there?
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, that's cool. I didn't know that.
I get the patty melt.
Dude, it's the best thing in the world, man. People are like, "Oh, Five Guys is better." Nah, In-N-Out's pretty good too. So if you ever in the area, you can try some In-N-Out. It's pretty good. Not better than Whataburger. It hits different, but it's still good. So Max, so you are the host of the Max Van Auken Podcast. You do media for the Orlando Magic, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Can you
sir.
let the audience know about more of the things that you do, man, on your show?
Yeah, so it started off my podcast, the Max Van Auken Podcast. You can get it anywhere. And then it kind of grew a pretty big following and started having on some big personalities that kind of grew legs. And then I ended up on the radio here at 104.7. So then people really liked me on the radio, and it just got me access to the Orlando Magic. And then I was interviewing the Kawhi Leonards and the Trey Youngs and the Giannis's. And that just really grew my audience because I always try to take a different perspective. I think media in general, I was watching the UFC press conference, and you can just tell the way the media is viewed. And it's unfortunate at times because I feel like media is viewed in a way where they're always trying to get clicks, or they're always trying to ask questions to agitate the athlete to get that sound bite.
You talking about John Morgan? Sorry.
Yeah, I've had John Morgan on my show.
Same.
And he's an awesome guy. And so when Kobe, I mean, obviously we know what Kobe does, but I always try to take the approach of, let me ask you a basketball question. Like, I want you to be excited. Like, man, I get an opportunity to talk about my game. And so I just always taken that route where I just want to talk about the art form of what you do. So like I talked to Julius Randle. I'm like, the way you've transformed your game is incredible, because when he entered the league, I know I'm going on a little bit of a rant, but when he entered the league for the Lakers, he was just as a power forward, back to the face up and just get to the rim. Now he's like a dual forward. He could do a little bit of everything. And it's so incredible to see that evolution of his game. So I talked to him about that, and you see his face light up, and the New York Knicks shared that post. And that's just, I always have approached everything that I do that way. And so my podcast, Unique Theories, I'll compare NBA players to Marvel characters, tie worlds together. I just want there to be a better balance between media and the athletes themselves. And so that's kind of what I do on a daily basis.
Yeah, I remember watching your Chris Paul take, man, the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, the Wi-Fi.
Watch the Max Van Auken show here. So yes, so that was a very good example there. You're doing great, man. You're doing great. I love the content. You could definitely tell. And I wanted to have a knowledgeable person in the NBA coming over here and just talking and shedding some light on certain things that I just don't cover, to be quite honest, just because we're doing MMA, we're doing the NFL, and all that good stuff. Obviously, with all the crazy fights going on, the UFC. Really, there's no off season for MMA, man. There really isn't. So that's all over. But thank you for coming on now. Now let me ask you this though. So you cover a lot of NBA. I know you're an MMA fan as well, but football, right? I want to touch base on some football stuff, going on here, because like what you said, media wants to, the way I feel is everyone's scared to make a statement or have a quote unquote hot take, which I'm not a fan of that, phrase, to be honest with you.
Right.
So somebody will say something like, for example, Patrick Mahomes, right? Oh, Patrick Mahomes is okay to criticize him. And then just everyone's doubling down now. You hear things like, oh, this is the worst I've ever seen him, which is true, but oh my goodness, we'll never see him at his best again. Oh my goodness, it was just Andy Reid. Oh my goodness, the Chiefs are missing the playoffs. When I laugh at that because again, it's like everyone's too scared to, have a take on there. And as soon as somebody breaks the barrier and says it, then everyone's like just joins in. Not a fan of that kind of stuff because I do think that with media, a lot of things are overplayed, right? Stories happen. And the Kansas City Chiefs, I guess it's easy to not make fun of, but criticize in the sense because of the fact that they've been so dominant and so great, right? You can Kansas City to the Super Bowl. It's always been done like that way. And this year they're struggling. But I think people need to calm down. I think they need to calm down because of the fact that, again, we're still halfway through the season. They're at 500. Sure, they would miss the playoffs. But Max, I don't know how long you've seen the NFL. We've seen teams get on runs late. I can remember the '05 Steelers win 4 games in a row to end the season and then go on to win the Super Bowl.
Yep.
We saw plenty of teams like the Baltimore Ravens during Ray Lewis's last year. We saw that happen. The New York Giants, when they upset, the New England Patriots that were the undefeated team. I'm a Pats fan. I still get nightmares about that game, but it happened. Teams get on runs. So I think people need to pipe down on the Kansas City Chiefs. You have a take to offer when it comes to that?
Yo, absolutely. I'm in 100% agreement with you. Media we are like the art is storytelling. Yeah. What is the popular story to tell? What do people want to listen to? People want to hear. People are drawn to the bold take. They're Patrick Mahomes. We're never going to see that guy like that again. Like he's just clear. Like you said, the Chiefs, they had a good run. Like people are drawn to that. Why does he think that? Why would he say that? So is Patrick Mahomes really done? And so, like you said, it's a copycat world. One person says it. Now everyone's like, oh, I got to double down on it. Look at Patrick Mahomes. He's not this. What happens is, he has played at such an exceptional level so early, we've compared him to the all-time greats already.
Yes.
So the bar is set so high. So whenever he even just shows remote weaknesses or just signs of struggle, immediately, he's not the same anymore. He can't do it anymore. Like you said, you would think they're like 0-8 the way people talk about them. They're full, like you said, 500. So people become prisoners of the moment and they become a copycat to what the popular agenda is. And to your point, you have to take a breath and you have to step back because we've seen through history. I've always said there's 3 ways to look at the game. Okay. The history of it. What does history tell us? You can look at the stats because sometimes numbers do not lie. And then you have to look at what your eyes are telling you. And so when you look at the history of the game, to your point, there's been plenty of teams who've been able to bounce back. You get through the lulls, you find your stride, and you can still win it all. So I'm 100% on your side with this as far as let's just take a breath. Let's see how things play out. Andy Reid is still an exceptional coach. Patrick Mahomes still an exceptional quarterback. Are they in a lull? Are there some weaknesses? Are there areas of concern? Absolutely. But it doesn't mean we just all of a sudden have to wave the white flag and just say they're done.
Yeah, I mean, and here's the thing. Like you said, prisoners of the moment. I was always telling people, like, why are they calling Mahomes the GOAT? Why are they calling them the next great dynasty? It's hard. Unless you're Brady, it's really hard to win in the NFL consistently. You look at Seattle. Remember when Russell Wilson won the first Super Bowl his second year? People were saying, "Hey, next dynasty, Legion of Doom or Legion of Boom, whatever it was called back then." And then they didn't win. Let's look at a little bit of basketball here. The Golden State Warriors with Kevin Durant, right? Dynasty all over the place. They yielded 2 titles during their 4-year run. But was it a 4-year run? Do I have that correct?
Well, they won 1 pre-Kevin Durant, and then they won 2 with Kevin Durant. So 3 titles. And to your point, not to cut you off, dynasties never last as long as we really think. Like you said, unless you're Tom Brady, you're talking about one person. Unless you're that one person, besides maybe Michael Jordan, even then people forget it wasn't 6 in a row. He did come back out of retirement. He did have to retire. He did lose to the Orlando Magic before he went on his another 3-peat. It is hard. It is hard to retain and maintain greatness for that long, that consistently. And so the Warriors, they're going to win 10 in a row. The Miami Heat, they're going to win 6 in a row. It's like, no, it never really works. Dynasties never are as good as we think they will be.
No, definitely. Unless again, Tom Brady. It's but we have a rule here. We don't compare people to Tom Brady
No,
here.
you don't. You
You,
can't. You
you,
can't.
you can't, man. So it's funny that that's going on now. Okay, so prisoners of the moment, right? The Bucks lost to the Saints, right? Everyone's freaking out again. Oh, the Bucks, are they done? That secondary is awful. Brady looks like he saw ghosts, to quote good old Sam Darnold there. I
Mhm.
don't think they're done, man. I think people need to calm down. Hey, Tom struggles on the road. He struggles against the Saints normally. Because everyone else, he just destroys everyone out there. I
Yep.
mean, what's your take on the Bucks?
Like again, it cracks me up. So we have, if you want to bet against Tom Brady and you want to think that they're done, you can go ahead. I'm going to double down. I'm going to bet on
Yeah,
Tom Brady.
of course.
So if he has a bad regular season game, like you said, normally struggles against the team, all of a sudden they're done. But I guarantee you, these same people will be the first ones to say, "Oh yeah, I wouldn't want to play Tampa when it comes playoff time, when they find their
Yeah,
stride." And so when it comes to Tom, I have so much confidence and faith in his knowledge of the game and what he's able to do. These regular season games, like I said, I'm not saying they're meaningless because obviously they hold tons of value, especially in the NFL.
of course.
But if there's anybody to not really worry about, or if there's like not to, oh my God, so like drastic change, it's Tom Brady. Like it's
The best.
okay. It's okay to have a loss in the regular season, but we just hold it so we hold him as we should because he is the GOAT. Whenever he has any type of flaws, or it's look how old he is.
Yeah,
Look, like he's got to be done soon, right? It's like, can he not have a bad game? Like, is that
yeah.
possible? Or does it always have to be his age? Or does it always have to be some drastic fall off? So with you, with the Chiefs, with Tampa, with Tom, I'm all about patience and let things play out before you all of a sudden just say they're done.
Absolutely. Now, look, I'm gonna hit on this last topic here when it comes to
Okay.
the NFL because again, we talk about media jumping on negativity, right? Let's
Mhm.
talk about positivity though. And I do another show with a guy named Corey Mack. It's called Breaking the Line. It's on IG Live, and it's on
Okay.
Tuesdays. And we talk about a lot of it is just based on football and things that are going outside the NFL. But one of the things, and people give me a lot of flack about this, is the Dallas Cowboys. We're in Texas here, so I tell people they are not a top 5 team in my opinion still. And people are like, "Oh, you're just a hater, da 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 da. You hate us because you hate us." All this nonsense, right? All this nonsense here. When I look at Dallas, though, again, prisoners of the moment, right? They look great right now. They're playing too well right now, and they should feel good about themselves because they were able to go on the road against the Minnesota Vikings with a backup quarterback, which we have never seen, and he won, right? He outplayed Kirk Cousins, which that's not saying as much, when you think about Kirk and his history. No offense to him. So my point is here, again, media jumps in, right? Positivity, too much positivity when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys. People are ranking them in the top 2, the number 1 team to beat. I mean, where are you as far as the Dallas Cowboys? Because you grew up in Florida. So, I mean, were they a big thing over there? Because I hear that they're America's team and everyone talks about the Cowboys all over the country. What's your take on that, Max?
Well, yeah, the Cowboys, Yankees, and Lakers are the biggest brands in sports. So
Yeah.
no matter where you go, you're going to see those type of jerseys. You're going to see a Dak jersey. You're going to see a Zeke jersey. So certainly they're huge here, just because, like I said, they're the Dallas Cowboys. Jerry Jones is the number 1 guy when it comes to marketing and being
Oh,
able
yeah.
to bring a team. There's not even a close second. So I think they're a good football club. I do think that they have a really good opportunity to make more noise than they normally make. But we also have to look at the history of the Dallas Cowboys, right? We go back to
There
the
we go.
history of the. If you
There
look
you
at the
go.
history of the Dallas Cowboys compared to what the hype has been, compared to what the positivity has been through Dallas over the years, you'd think they've at least have a couple Super Bowls under their belt, but they don't. They really
Exactly.
don't over the when you look over the course of like the past several seasons, they never do as good as what the positivity is at the time,
Of course.
especially in the postseason. So I'm never really sold on Dallas until I see it translate to when it matters most. Uh, but to your point, they are playing good football. I think they do have the intangibles to win. But I'm not 100% sold on all the positivity that's going their way. Should they be
Yeah.
should they celebrate the goods? Yeah, absolutely. But
Why not?
I'm not 100% sold on Dallas, and just because I know the history of the game and I know their history.
Me neither, man. I'll tell you. So I am from the Rio Grande Valley originally. I'm in San Antonio now, but I'm from the Rio Grande Valley originally. So what they do over there is every time the Cowboys win, they do this thing called La Pitada, which pretty
Mhm.
much they go on the street, on the same street after every Cowboy win, and they just start honking their horns, man. And there you see everyone waving their Cowboy flags and stuff like that, just celebrating.
Yeah.
always thought that was funny. Look, to be quite honest with you, I don't think Dallas is a top 5 team. Before Derrick Henry got hurt, I had Dallas at number 7 because I don't think they can stop Derrick Henry in Tennessee. Because at least, my thing is like what you said, history, right? Who have you beaten this season that has been consistently winning, right? The Chargers, right? Oh, Justin Herbert and the Chargers. Justin Herbert won 4 games last year, as good as he was, 4 or 5 games last year. Right. The Eagles, okay, the NFC least. They literally call your division the NFC least. Who can you beat? I think Arizona would beat them.
Yep.
I think the Rams would beat them. I think Tampa would beat. Tom Brady got there so fast that he was throwing the ball out of bounds just to kill clock.
Yep.
I think Buffalo would beat them. I think, again, Tennessee, before the Derrick Henry thing, would have beaten them. I think Green Bay can beat them. I think it's a very beatable team, and that's what people are feeling to miss. And people are going to say, oh, well, we beat the Panthers that were 3-0. Yeah, well, look at the Panthers now. They're not, again, their quality wins because you're in the NFL, of course. But at the same time, I mean, what are you trying to compare yourself to? The standard is trying to win a Super Bowl, right? Because that's what Jerry wants, a Super Bowl. So I just don't think today that they're as good as they think they are. And I think Dallas will fold in the playoffs, to be honest with you. So
I agree. And the history says they will.
There you go, man. I mean, but Dallas is always so funny, man. It's always funny to watch them. They draw ratings, which is awesome. I always find myself watching a Cowboy game just because I want to see the dramatic things that happen there. I mean, we once saw a black cat go on a literal black cat, like what Steve and I would always use as an analogy, and the black cat was, running on the field. So Dallas is always a good watch here. But let me shift to this. Let's go to the NBA now. Let's go to your world here. And again, I have Max Van Auken here today from the Max Van Auken Podcast. Lots of NBA content that you cover over there. I wanted to bring someone here that can give some good thoughts, opinions, takes here with what's going on in the NBA today. Now, what's a big surprise for you? So I'll start off with this. What's a big surprise for you right now in the NBA, good or bad?
I'll give you both. Okay. So let's start with the positive, right? Glass half full guy. It wasn't a surprise to me. I said this when I covered the NBA draft on SUV TV with Shot Phillips, Shelvin Mack, Coach Lewis Preston, Kate. And I said, we talked about it. Normally when you enter the league, it's about how good are you? Like prove how good you are. Earn that big contract, become an all-star, put up crazy numbers. Then towards like that second phase of your career, it goes to, okay, now I need to win. I've proven how good I am. Now that I've shown how good I am, people are going to say I'm not a winner. I need to win. And then that third stage, and I'm talking about like the elite NBA players have these 3 phases. The third phase is normally then, okay, now how can I position myself for life after basketball, the mogul stage, the sponsorships, the businesses, and so forth. Ja Moran has taken he skipped that first. He's combined the first phase with the second phase. He's shown you how good he is, but he's combining it with winning at an early age. Now, the only other player that's really doing that at that age is Trey Young. So Trey Young and Ja Moran are 2 incredible. They're so special because what Ja's doing in Memphis is not only giving you the stats, not showing you how good he is. He's averaging over 30 a game, but he's combined it with winning. And it's not like he went to a Lakers. It's not like he went to a Golden State. We're talking about Memphis. They've been consistent over the years, but they've never been a real good team. You don't really think about them making a playoff push. Yeah. Last year, he was already in the playoffs. Yeah. This year, he's putting up crazy stats, and Memphis is the talk of the NBA right now because of what he's been able to do. So to me, and we called it on the draft show, this is going to be that year for Ja Morant. Like careers are defined by moments. Last year, he ended it with a moment, beating Golden State. Now he's already combining it with winning. So that's been the positive story for me is Ja Morant. As far as a negative one and a disappointing one is Zion. I'm a Zion guy. So to see him not playing already, to see him like they show some of his workouts or running up and down the court and he's really out of shape compared to what you really want to see him. And with him, his weight fluctuates so easily. You never want to see him lose himself because that could really hurt his potential on the court. He's already so big and he plays so vertically. That much weight and torque on your knees, it's just prone to get injured. And he lost himself again. Like he already gained way too much weight. They say he was close to 300 pounds. Yeah. And so it's like, I hate to see that because I'm a Zion guy. But when you look at it and the fact that he's not playing, all the people that criticized him or doubted him was his injuries and can he stay in shape? Yeah. And he's injured and he's out of shape. So to me, the 2 positive and negative things so far.
Now, so look, I'm gonna tell you this right here, and this may sound crazy to you, but I watch a lot of college football. I watch I like watching quarterbacks play. You know, when I saw Joe Burrow, I told myself, that's it right there. Boom, that works. That's going to work
Really?
right there. Saw it. I saw him play against UT. Was it week 2 of the college season? No one was talking about this guy, but I saw him play and I said, that's what it looks like. You just know when it works, you know?
Mm.
There's certain things like, right, we have metrics, right, in which we measure players, right? Can they do this? Can they do that? Sometimes, Max, you just know it. Like you see it and you're like, okay, that's it right there. Yeah,
it's just
it happens. So that was my opinion with Burrow. When I saw Herbert play, I told myself the same thing. Okay, that's gonna work. Didn't understand why he was falling. So when I saw Ja play in college basketball, I told myself, okay, cool. That's the number 1 pick right there. That's the number 1 pick, in my opinion. Because then I knew who Zion was, the hype, right? This player from Duke, the shoe blew out, right? That was a big story, man. This guy's so physically dominating, especially at the rim, where he's going to cause people nightmares. I have another rule. I don't like comparing players. I don't like having comps, comparing players to like LeBron or like some of the greatest of all time. Let's not put these expectations on these guys. Personally, I would have taken John Moran, number 1. And I'm starting to think that I was right in that sense. Disagree, agree with me. I wasn't fully convinced on what Zion could be, not because of his ability, but some of the off-court stuff. Again, like you said, weight, that's, an issue, it's a judgment call, right? I mean, again, you're getting paid to be able to put that work out there. Are there other issues going on that we don't know about? Maybe they are, right? I don't think it's very fair to judge, but from just watching Ja and Zion, I told myself, I'd rather have Ja number 1. I mean, is it fair to say that, Max?
Absolutely. Now, if you asked me this last season,
yeah,
I would probably disagree. I would say, you know what? I still like Zion's upside because I think he could be the face of the NBA, and you don't just come across that. I would have disagreed with you. Now, I would agree with you because at some point you have to say, normally injuries don't get better over time. Like you're normally supposed to be healthier and then your body starts to fall apart and fatigue and just erode over time. The bigger you are, it typically doesn't get better either. If you're a big guy, and it's only going to usually get worse unless you create really great habits early. Like a Russell Wilson takes care of his body. Not that he's a big guy, but he takes care of his body. A Tom takes care of his body. A LeBron takes care of his body. We haven't seen Zion have the history of taking care of his body. And John Moran is consistently available in the way the game is played nowadays with the guards and controlling the tempo and the speed and the time and the clock. John Moran has more of an impact on the game also. And so I would always take the guy that's more available and more consistent. Zion may have that higher upside, like, oh my gosh, look what he just did. But how many times are you getting that now? So when he played, he's unbelievable. Like you can't stop him, most points in the paint. I love that. And if he were consistent, I would say Zion. But that if consistent is a huge if, and he hasn't proven to be it. So when he is on the court, I like Zion, but I don't know if he's always going to be on the court. So you're not crazy.
I have this thing where I call myself Mr. Honesty. So I give people the actual take here, the truth, right? Something that people don't want to hear. People always call me a hater for it. But I just remember watching, and I have a good friend that is a huge basketball fan, right? And he's a huge Zion guy. And I told him, look, man, after Ja was able to take his team to the playoffs, I said, where's the debate here, man? I mean, Ja's taking his team to the playoffs and Zion's at home watching it, Again, and I only say this just because of, again, and this is the media's fault, the high standards for this young man that he had going into the game. If it was just any other regular player, right, we wouldn't really be having this debate here. But I truthfully thought coming out, I'm like, I don't understand the hype. Like, I get it, but basketball's much more than just being able to be a phenomenal athlete, right? There's things you got to control outside of the court. And if you don't do that, I mean, it's going to really take your career down a wrong path. Not saying that he can't overcome this or he can't turn this around, but let me ask you this though, a little conspiracy, right? Do you think maybe this might be a ploy to get out of New Orleans from Zion?
That's an interesting conspiracy because I do believe he wants to be a New York Knick. I don't think that's even a secret. He's basically said everything you could say besides I want to be a Knick. Like every time he has a chance to talk about, MSG is amazing. There's nothing like playing in Madison Square Garden. I love playing with. He wants to be a Knick. I don't know. You know what? I would like to say, no, you're not. Like, yeah, you're kind of crazy for saying that, but it's kind of hard to argue that because if you really don't want to play somewhere and you can't go out and say it, and him and Griffin already have kind of had their sticky situations as far as like just visions of the team. And I don't think you're crazy because I ultimately believe he's going to leave.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
so
yeah.
if he wants to become a Knick, not that I'm saying he wants to get injured, but in a weird way, that how do you explain not being able to take care of your weight when you know that's the biggest concern? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And so I don't think it's a crazy conspiracy. Now, usually I'm not a conspiracy guy, but I really don't think that's a crazy one at all.
Now, well, let me go. I want to go over two teams here with you. The Boston Celtics are a team that I was really high on, right? I saw, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown take their team to the Eastern Conference Finals without Kyrie. And Kyrie comes in and, we know how Kyrie can be, right? So
Yep.
it didn't work out. Then they leave. Then the bubble happens, take their team to the Eastern Conference Finals, and then, they go through a tough series against Toronto. They unfortunately didn't go their way against the Heat. And then again, we're moving back, seeing what's going on with the Celtics. I mean, has it been disappointing to you? Because I thought this was a team that could generally be making it to the finals contender. And after we've seen those things happen, I'm starting not to believe, man. I mean, do you agree, disagree? What can you tell me about the Boston Celtics? Now, I know that the coach is calling out the team now. Turbulence is going on right now with the Celtics. I mean, what can you tell us, Max?
Sell your Boston Celtics stock immediately. Yeah, sell it
Okay.
100% because I believe Jason Tatum had an opportunity to be an MVP candidate, and he still does. It's still early just because of the state that they're in. And if he plays exceptional basketball, that's clearly what valuable presents, and that's what the fans like to see. But yeah, definitely sell it because you have the Miami Heat, you have the defending champions in the Bucks, you have the Brooklyn Nets, whether they get Kyrie Irving or not. You have my sleepers in the Atlanta Hawks. You have just the Bulls look really nice. The Hornets are exciting. This is the most dispersed talent we've seen in the East in a very, very long time. And the Boston Celtics, I didn't even bring up. So to have that inconsistency and to have player only meetings, to have your coach calling you out, to not be clicking is not a good sign considering everything that's going on in the East. You have what I really like about the Bucks. They're still hungry. They're still Giannis still wants to be the hunter, not the hunted. He's acting like he didn't win the championship. You still have really hungry teams that know they know their identity. They know their brand. Boston doesn't know their identity. And that's the first step. I didn't even bring up the Knicks. So sell your Boston Celtics stock. They are not going to go to the Eastern Conference Finals this year. They're not certainly won't go to the finals. I don't even know if they can make it. I can make the argument they may not make the playoffs.
Boston may not make the playoffs this year.
Well, when I think about it, you have the Bucks, like I said, you have the Heat,
the Bulls,
you have the Bulls, you have the Hawks, you have the Knicks, you also have you have the Nets, you have the Hornets.
Okay. Bridges is playing awesome.
He's playing phenomenal. I think he may be the most improved player of the year so far. He's certainly a candidate already. So I mean, they are going to maybe be a 7th or 8th seed, maybe.
Or what are they doing the play-in again? I think they are doing the play-in.
Yeah, they'll be doing the play-in again. So they have enough talent, and the Wizards are playing better now.
Yeah.
So you can make the case they're not going to even make the playoffs. You can forget about the second round Eastern Conference Finals. Yeah. Worry about even just getting in.
Oh, I'm not going to argue with you there. You definitely have the knowledge. And look, I mean, again, right, where there's smoke, there's some fire, right? The results have shown us already, and then the way the season's starting, right? Now, believe it or not, I believed in Tatum, but during the bubble thing, I kind of started selling the Tatum stock. I was like, really? Okay, I'm not sure. I know he has the ability to take over games, but then there's some games where I just see him make some incredibly dumb decisions in moments, right? And again, when you're trying to be I don't think it's fair to compare to LeBron, right? LeBron doesn't happen all the time. But if you're trying to be at that level of that kind of caliber player right there, can't shrink in those moments. Look at Russell Westbrook, man. He tends to shrink in those moments, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't know about Tatum right now. We'll see. I am definitely not going to argue that point right there. But let's talk about the Lakers, right? Because the biggest brand, right? One of the biggest brands here. They're struggling. LeBron James is hurt. Defense isn't playing well. Russell Westbrook looks like he's just being catastrophic there, as some people have described this out there. What's your take on the Lakers, Max?
I buy Lakers stock all day, every day. I believe they'll go to the NBA Finals, and I believe they have a great opportunity to win it all. They were my pick to win it all. And I've heard the lack of shooting, their age, their defense, and 100% agree. You can't even argue with you can't argue with someone's age. I can't deny that. But I've always said no one's in their prime is such the overrated take because. Name me besides Giannis Antetokounmpo, who's really in their prime?
No
like
way.
KD's really not in his prime anymore. Steph Curry, he's playing great basketball, but he's probably not in his prime anymore. Luka Doncic isn't in his prime. He's too young right now. He's trying to enter his prime. You look at
Same with
all the
Trey.
guys. Yeah, Trey Young is trying to enter his prime. John Morant's trying to enter his prime. I'm not concerned about the prime. And you have AD, who should be in the prime of his career. You have LeBron James. When it matters most, I will always bet my money on the talent. Talent, I know we like to look at the X's and the O's. We like to look at the stats. If we had to bet money on a game and I have LeBron and AD, I like my chances. So
agree.
the regular season, I feel is more about figuring things out. Okay, Russell Westbrook, we don't expect you to be all of a sudden an elite shooter, an efficient player who knows how to completely change his game. That's not going to happen. But if we can have you play the way you play, buy us some regular season wins. When LeBron is taking some time off because he's trying to make sure he's healthy for the playoffs, when AD doesn't always show up, we like your all gas, no breaks mentality. We love that dog mentality. Show up and just do that. Just give us your regular season, Russell Westbrook. Get us to the playoffs. If they can get there healthy and that's their main concern, that's the most important, because I don't see anyone in the West that will take out a healthy LeBron and AD. And so Westbrook, we're not expecting you to be 30 points, triple-double monsters. If we can get an 18, 7, and 7 out of you, that's all we need as a third guy. And just get everyone there healthy. They do need to add shooting. I really believe in that. They do need to improve defensively, and Rob Pelinka doesn't get enough credit that he deserves for what he's always been able to transform this roster into. And I believe they'll make some tweaks come the trade deadline. Yeah, I believe that they'll definitely make some tweaks there, but I'm not with, kind of like what we talked about with the Chiefs, kind of like what we talked about with the Bucks. I'm not into, all of a sudden this is not going to work. I still believe when they're healthy, I'm going to bet my money on them.
I absolutely agree with you. You know, I'm always going to bet LeBron, man. I'm always going to bet LeBron. You know, it's
Brady and Braun you can't bet against.
Yeah, Brady and LeBron, man. It's just, come on, man. The guys earned that, right? And of course, I know every season's new, but I'm still not going to go ahead and bet against them. Now, it's interesting. I think my biggest thing is, can Russell Westbrook not lose the game when it's crunch time? You know, when you get to the playoffs for these guys, because we know that Westbrook can get kind of crazy, starts taking a lot of crazy shots. Now, I think if there's one human being or one athlete that can handle that, it's LeBron James, where, if he tells you something, it's going to mean something.
Yes.
So I just hope Russ is able to fall in line. That's my only concern, because I do think with Russ and how he can be, I think that gives them the potential to start losing playoff games more than, what LeBron would normally lose. Now, LeBron loses a lot of games usually when it comes to being in the first round, right? He's gone to, game 7 multiple times. So it happens, right? But this is going to be very crucial. I think it's going to be a very crucial piece for the Lakers just moving forward. And as they get into that postseason, never going up against LeBron. Max, you've been awesome, man. Is there anything you want to let the audience know as we're signing out here?
I want to thank you for having me on your show. You have been incredibly patient with me. You have a fantastic show, and I really appreciate you letting me come on your show and talk some sports with you, throw some interesting theories. You can just find me. My name is my brand. So literally type in Max Van Auken, my podcast, my Instagram, my Twitter, all my interviews will pop up. So I really, again, thank you for letting me come on your show.
Oh, thank you, Max. And to all the audience listening, thank you for sticking around, folks. I'll catch you later, guys. Goodbye.